Welcome back to the channel where we focus on setting the foundation of your corporate photography and videography business. Today, we're talking about a camera that has been highly talked about, but I'm going to give you a little breakdown. It's called the Nikon ZR. That's right, I got my hands on it, and I wanted to give you guys just my honest first impressions of it, specifically though, from the perspective of a corporate photographer and videographer. Because I know a lot of people have been talking about it, but a lot of people that you hear talking about this camera are either high content creators or they spend a lot of time in the spaces of maybe doing commercial projects. So let's see if this camera can actually support the type of work that we do every single week. Now, first and foremost is, how does this camera feel in your hand? Because I think that matters the most, because as a corporate photographer, as a corporate videographer, you're holding your camera a lot. And the Nikon ZR is a minimal camera. It's very small. It is, I think if I had to compare it, I couldn't compare it to any of my other cameras just because it doesn't really have a good hand grip in my opinion. Nikon stripped this thing down to where the buttons are very minimal. They reduce like the physical controls, so you don't have like a little wheel or anything like that. You have just the two at the top right here. So if you're someone who needs fast on the fly changes during a corporate event, this camera might slow you down, especially in the beginning. Now, I think there's a few pros about this camera that I did like. The first big pro was the screen is massive. So from a video perspective, which we'll talk about later, that's a huge win. Framing interviews, checking your focus, monitoring exposure, you're winning there. It's generally nice to use. Now from a photo perspective, a big screen matters. It's bright, it's touch focused, so it allows you to really click on it, touch the person's face, and it locks in. But I have to mention something that was annoying to me, and that was that noise right there. That clicking noise just did not feel professional. It felt like a point and shoot, and it drove me crazy, I'll be honest, especially when I was using it. And it really didn't seem like it was going to make that big of a difference, but it did. It annoyed me. And I even had someone say, "What is that noise?" So that gives you something. Now, as far as image quality, it's great. But when you're working on corporate jobs, every detail contributes to a client's perception. And that sound really felt annoying to me and a little cheap. And so definitely considering that, I think that was one of the drawbacks. Overall, the intent of this camera feels like it's built more, in my opinion, for a creator, other than someone maybe doing smaller corporate jobs, but I didn't feel like it was designed for the large corporate job professional. Now, let's talk about corporate photography a little bit. Let's dive a little bit deeper into it. Typically when we're doing corporate photography, we're looking at doing it for using our camera for headshots, general sessions, breakout rooms, maybe some sponsor activations, step and repeats. Now, I will tell you, for headshots, the ZR can absolutely get the job done. That's a slower paced situation. Now, I'm not talking about our headshot booths where we're running 300, 400 people through it. I think for just standalone headshots, you can definitely get the job done. Has super clean files, great autofocus, lightweight, definitely enough to work with all day. But the reality is corporate clients also expect reliability. And so if you're looking at doing a large conference of shooting multiple headshots, I don't think that this camera is it for it. They expect speed, they expect redundancy, and the ZR may not have the deeper features that I think a lot of photographers use on a daily basis, such as a dual card slot. Yep, we've seen the videos. It has a CF Express and a micro SD. Yes, I said it, a micro SD. Now, of course, the CF Express gives you a good fast buffer, but we need something a little bit more robust. And I think from autofocus, you might run into a little bit of dimness in dark rooms. And then I think from a flash support, I really can't tell you because I haven't used it. But I think that this is a great camera that you can grow with if you're starting out for photography and you don't have a huge budget, but I think there are other options that you could go to. Now, for content creators, freelancers, this could be it. Content creators stepping into corporate work, maybe. I think it's a transitional camera, but social first shooters, absolutely. So for some corporate clients who are just looking for social, you could probably use this camera especially for that. But I don't see it really for even a pro needing it for lightweight cameras, because I don't think that this camera's features are built photography first. That of course leads me to the next part, corporate videography. Now, when we're talking about this camera for corporate videography, I think that this is a camera that could really meet some areas of focus. Corporate video is where the real revenue lives. That's where I make a lot of my money. And interviews, highlights, brand storytelling, testimonials. I told you earlier, the screen is massive. The Nikon ZR can shoot 4K. That's a win. What camera can't shoot 4K, right? Has great colors, has that red codec, so we already know that the colors coming out of this camera is chef's kiss. The large screen helps a lot, definitely when it comes to framing. And I think really even the autofocus locks dead on. I think it gives a great autofocus from a video perspective. But when you're building a corporate bag and you're trying to build like a bag that's around all of these things and is versatile, meaning you can take it from a sit-down interview to run and gun, I don't know if this is the camera. I think it has some reliability, but I don't know if it has everything that I would be looking for, because like I said earlier, the dials are not that great. I think really when I'm looking at this camera, I think that this is a slower pace. You're taking your time, you're framing that shot, you're not running and gunning with it, you're not strapping things on and keeping it going. I think that of course, audio-wise, you still have the regular audio. HDMI has the micro HDMI, which is normal. But at the same time, I haven't tested it long enough to know if it's gonna overheat while you're interviewing a CEO, or if you're doing a long 30, 40-minute interview. I didn't put it through that type of pace. But depending on that would of course be a major feature for me. This camera does not have a fan system, so that means it's not cooling off at all. The ZR, I think, if anything, is better suited for that quick social content. So for example, someone who has retainer clients, I think it's built for maybe travel shoots. Say you're having to travel a little bit. This might be a camera that you grab and put in the bag with maybe a larger camera. It could work for B-roll for sure, lifestyle scenes, and maybe even some behind the scene documentation, but not a full production day. This is not a 10-hour pace camera. This is not a 8-hour, we're sitting down doing a production interview all day long. That's my opinion. I know I may have some that fight me on it, but in my opinion, I don't feel that this camera is the one that I'm picking up first, second, and maybe not even third. Now, I think the real question though is, who is this camera for? Who did Nikon make this camera for? I think that Nikon made this camera for the enthusiast that loves color, meaning that's why they added that raw sensor in there, right? But if you're starting your corporate journey, I think you need a camera to really begin building your portfolio. And so with that is, do I think that the Nikon ZR is a strong entry level? Maybe. It's a good hybrid, but I also think there are better options. Canon has great options, Sony has great options. I think even Nikon has some better entry-level hybrid cameras that can really get the job done. But it lets you practice lighting, which is great. I think it lets you learn framing. I think it keeps your costs low, definitely from the price point for this camera. But I think you can also still produce great content for smaller clients with this camera. But it's definitely not the camera that I think is the camera that you run to. It's great for that new freelancer. It's great for that YouTuber. It's great for the content creator stepping into, maybe dipping their toe into a little bit of work. But I don't believe that this is the camera. Maybe even some social first shooters. But overall, I love the the look, the feel of it. I honestly was looking at the camera from a family perspective. I know, taking it off for corporate a little bit, meaning could I see it using it with my family? And even still, for the price point, that's not what I'm spending it on. So overall, I don't know that we're going to see this camera added to our bag. You know that we created a Canon bag, we created a Sony bag this year. And as I was planning for 2026, I was like, let's try it out. And this is not the camera that I'm bringing to a 3-day conference. This is not the camera that I'm bringing to my large association events. This is not the camera that I'm setting up as a multi-camera interview. I may add it as a third, maybe fourth B-roll camera. I'm not using this camera for high pressure turnarounds. And at the same time, this camera, it feels limiting. Honestly, the card slots, while I don't always record dual card, that CF Express and the micro was a pullback. It was a drawback. I like the autofocus. I like the I didn't really like the ergonomics. I like the codec. Sound, audio, that was great. It has the 32-bit float, but I have that for other things. And the body, it doesn't scream professional. The body itself didn't scream professional, and it didn't feel professional for me. Now, do I want bigger, bulky bodies? No, but I want something comfortable in my hand. So at the end of the day, this channel is all about setting the foundation of your corporate photo and video business. And your camera, it needs to be able to support that foundation. And what you don't need is something that's going to hold you back. And so is the Nikon ZR the right camera for that corporate photographer, videographer? My answer, drum roll, boom, 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 boom. No, it's not. If you're early in your journey and you're trying to figure this thing out, I think this would be a good starter camera when you're doing multiple niches. But if this is the camera that you're adding or building around, no. If you're establishing running full events, probably not. Choose the gear that matches the level of the clients that you want to serve and the level of business that you're building. Don't get it just because it's the trend. I promise you, everyone's going to say they're selling their Sony. Everyone's going to say that they're selling their Canon and they're going to this camera because it has all these great features. But for corporate, it's not built for us. If you want more videos diving into, of course, corporate gear, workflow, and business strategy, hey, smash that subscribe button. Drop your questions about the Nikon ZR in the comments. I promise you I'll answer them. And if you're looking for the next camera, ask me a couple more questions and I'll try and review them. I have some great partnerships and I have no problem renting gear as well as also borrowing gear from friends and family. And so if I need to test it out and tell you what I think about it, I have no problem doing so. I appreciate you guys. As always, let's keep getting to the bag. Let's keep getting to work. 2026 is right around the corner. Watch out for the next video. Peace.